she's gonna be an issue. We like wine with our meat. Hi, I'm Zach. Behind the camera's Tim. We want to welcome you to the table outside. To kick off our new adventure, we thought we'd start with the classic T-bone. This is bought from our local butcher, Risden's, just right down the road here in Brentwood. It's 28-day dry-aged grass-fed beef. The reason that we chose the T-bone is because it's very important because it has two great pieces of meat. So on this side here, we have the sirloin steak, which is also known as a New York strip in the United States. And on this side, we have the fillet, or the fillet as it's known here in England. So you have the bone that runs across here and straight down the center, forming a T, which is why it's called a T-bone. The reason that we like to cook it on the bone is because you get all the wonderful flavors from the bone. We're gonna start with rubbing it down with balsamic vinegar, but not just any balsamic vinegar. You wanna have a density of at least 1.33. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit there and I'm just gonna pour it liberally over the top. Don't be scared, just massage it in. It's gonna be a little bit sticky, but that's okay. The reason I love this type of vinegar, yes, it's acidic because it's vinegar, but it's also very sweet in flavor because it's aged. All right, so once we get that nice and rubbed down and massaged in, what we're gonna then do is we're gonna flip it over. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So again, apply liberally. Don't be scared. So I'm gonna walk you through my own rub, okay? We're gonna start off with 1.5 teaspoons of truffle salt. I like truffle salt because it helps to add to an umami flavor to the steak. Then we're gonna go to garlic powder. 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Cracked black pepper. 1/2 teaspoon of thyme, dried thyme. You could also use fresh thyme. I kind of like the earthiness of the dry thyme. And then finally, 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Don't be scared to mix it. Put your hands right in and mix it up. So this is kind of the consistency that you're looking for. Liberally sprinkle all over, making sure that you leave enough for the other side. It's really important that you massage it in. The reason being is it helps the salt penetrate the meat. So massage it in, massage it in. You know, like the massages you wish your wife would always give in the evening. All right, not too hard, but not too soft. The reason that we chose this size of meat is we're just cooking one steak today. It's gonna feed 3 people. All right, so this is 1 kilo of T-bone. And again, I wanna shout out to our friends at Risden's here in Brentwood and Calcott Hall Farm Shop. They provide some of the best meat around. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna let it set for a bit, all right? The longer you let it set, the more penetration you're gonna get from the balsamic vinegar, from the thyme, the salt, the garlic, the pepper, and the red pepper flake. So ideally, set it for at least 30 minutes. So I do apologize, we do live off of a busy road, so you might hear some background noise, but hey, it is what it is. So for the next element of tonight's meal, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna make a chimichurri sauce to go over the top of the steak. All right, I fell in love with chimichurri some years back via some Argentinian friends. Argentinians make the best chimichurri, but I like to say that, you know what, mine can compete as well. All right, so what we're gonna do is we have 50 grams of parsley here, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off the thick stems, all right? Because that just is not a very nice textural feel in the mouth. So after I get done taking off all these stems, what I'm then gonna do is I'm gonna chop this up very finely, okay? So 3 lovely chilies here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna slice them open, we're gonna deseed them, and then we're gonna dice them up really nicely. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a lovely sweet yellow onion, I'm gonna dice it up as well. Again, dice it up as fine as you can. All right, we're not all Gordon Ramsay here, so it's not all gonna be like properly diced, very, very small, but you know what I mean. Just dice it up as finely as you can. All right, then what we're gonna do, we're gonna take 3 large cloves of garlic. And when I say large, I mean large, not the little skimpy ones you get from the local supermarket. Go to your local farm store, like Calcott here in Brentwood, and get some nice proper garlic. Why? Because you're gonna get these nice, wonderful bulbs. They have much more flavor in them. So what we're gonna do then is we're gonna first smash them to release the oils, then we're gonna dice them up really finely again, okay? Again, when we do all this, we're gonna put it into a bowl together. Once we have the parsley, the onion, the garlic diced up and put in along with the chilies, we're gonna add in 1/2 tablespoon of dried oregano, 1 tablespoon of cooking salt or kosher salt. Don't use the iodized crap, doesn't penetrate as well as cooking or kosher. And then 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper. This is where I must tell you, guys, I really feel by cooking. I cook by feeling. I feel by cooking. Yeah, I cook by feeling. So I've just added 100 milliliters of red wine vinegar in this bowl, and I have about 120 milliliters of olive oil. I probably won't use that much, but when we get to the stage of cooking, I'll kind of explain what the textural feeling should be like. Again, apologies. I'm not an accurate cook. I'm trying to be for you guys, but hey, I cook by feeling, and I feel by cooking. So once that's done, kind of give it a little bit of shake. Shake it, don't break it. Took your mama 9 months to make it. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna slice our lemon. Squeeze the lemon into your hand to catch any seeds that might fall out. Just kind of open your fingers just slightly to allow the juice to flow through. Squeeze the lemon. So for you Argentinians who don't use lemon in yours, please, perdóname. Please forgive me. Wipe those grubby little paws off. 120 mil of EVOO, as Rachel Ray calls it, extra virgin olive oil. A little shake. Add in 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoon, 3 tablespoon, 4 tablespoon. Give this a mix, and we'll start there. The reason I'm making this right now and not at the end is because the longer you let it set, the more the flavors begin to meld together. I'm gonna give it a little try to make sure it's okay. Oh, lovely. Come on, baby, light my fire. So I'm using the green olive wood wool fire lighters. I like them because they don't leave a chemical flavor on your meat. The reason I like using lumpwood charcoal is it doesn't take chemicals in it. It doesn't mean you have to let it gray over, the charcoal gray over before you start cooking on it. With briquettes, you want it to start graying over because that makes sure all the chemicals are burnt off. But with lumpwood, you can just almost start cooking right away. I mean, you do want it to go a little bit. So for our final dish, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some roast potatoes. But these are roast potatoes, one of my favorite ways to do them. I'll walk you through in just a minute. But again, I wanna shout out to Calcott Hall Farm Shop for these lovely new baby potatoes. I'm gonna slice them up into quarters. And then I'm gonna take 3 cloves of garlic. I'm gonna take about 6 cloves of the black garlic. So black garlic is garlic that's been fermented. All right, so it's kind of mushy, but it gives a nice umami flavor. I'm gonna take 3 sprigs of rosemary. I'm gonna take the leaves off. I'm gonna dice them up really nice, along with a tablespoon of truffle salt. And here you go, a tablespoon of truffle powder. And I'm just gonna blend it all up with some olive oil in my mortar and pestle. So I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna grind it, grind it, grind it. I'm gonna pull some R. Kelly and grind it, right? And then once that is done, I'm going to then pour it over the quartered new potatoes. Yeah, let it sit there and marinate a little bit. And then I'm gonna get me trusty cast iron skillet. All right, I'm gonna put a little bit more olive oil into the bottom of this, and I'm gonna toss it onto the fire. I'm gonna let them roast, okay? Stirring them every now and then. You'll see. It's gonna be super garlicky, super truffly. Nothing like fresh rosemary. Fresh herbs, they provide a freshness, they help to elevate. The reason I didn't use dried rosemary was because it might be a bit too earthy with it dried, added with all this different truffle and black garlic umami type flavors that are very earthy in themselves. I'm gonna pour it in. It's gonna take a little bit of my EVOO and add it to it like so. It's maybe what, a tablespoon worth? And then I'm just gonna grind it. And pull that R. Kelly. Her mind's telling her no, but her body, I don't see nothing wrong.
Just cutting all this nonsense
with a little bump and grind. Add a bit of olive oil onto the potatoes. So I'm just taking the black garlic truffle rosemary mix, and then we're just gonna massage it in. Again, it's a messy business cooking outside.
At that.
So now that we have the potatoes nice and mixed in, I'm gonna take a little bit more truffle salt, just to sprinkle on, because we tend to lose a little bit of the salt as we're mixing, and nobody likes under-salted potatoes. I'm gonna toss it on, maybe a tablespoon of butter, give or take. One thing I like about cooking over fire is you also add that element of smoke to it, all right? That element of smoke, it just helps to elevate, helps to step up the dish. Give it a few more seconds to brown off. So now we wanna add in our potatoes and some tire screeching.
Oh, listen to that sizzle, if you can hear it.
4 pounds, buy you some welding gloves. Same thing. Much cheaper, save a penny, spend it on better quality products of food. You hear that sizzle, Tim?
Go ahead, son.
Do you remember the leftover onion we have? Look, just had an idea, just came to me. We're gonna step up the potatoes one more time. We're gonna add in the onions. So you're gonna add an extra sweetness to it. All right, so while the potatoes are cooking, I love to have a good old fashioned. A nice cocktail at this time of day always helps to set the head straight, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a variant of the old fashioned. Obviously, the original old fashioned is a sugar cube with bitters dashed over it and a touch of sparkling water, then muddled into the glass onto the bottom, topped off with bourbon and an ice cube, okay? But what we're gonna do today is we're gonna use what we have. So we have a nice rosemary sprig. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna light this rosemary sprig on fire. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trap this smoking rosemary sprig underneath the glass and let the smoke kind of fill the glass. It's on fire, nice and smoky. Gonna let it fill the glass there. All right, what this is doing is it's imparting flavor to the glass. So that smoke is gonna leave like a little residue on the glass. While that does that, I'm gonna get my simple syrup here.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. I love Christmas. You guys just wait. All right, so I have my Agnesura bitters, I have my Woodford Reserve bourbon, and I have my homemade simple syrup. What I'm gonna do now is I'm going to now flip over my glass, add 3 tablespoons of simple syrup. I like my old fashioned a bit sweet. Sweet but strong, much like my wife. 3 dashes of Agnesura bitters. And then I'm going to give a 3 count, or you could do 1 measure to 2 measures of bourbon, but I prefer my counts. 1, 2, 3. There you go. And obviously this is a neat old fashioned, so there's no ice in it. We don't want it to dilute any of the flavor. We're gonna give it a stir. If you want, you can burn off a bit more. Wave it around, boobily doobly, and there you go. Nice. So, coals, nice and hot. What I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna grab my tongs, lift it out, put it directly over the coals. Hear that wonderful sound. Sound of freedom.
Yes, please.
All right, so we're gonna leave it on there for about 4 minutes to start with.
Shout out to Oklahoma Joe's Smokers.
Yeah.
These guys make some of the best products I've ever seen.
Absolutely. One thing that I like about the Oklahoma Joe smoker is the dual temperature ports, but also the fact it's made out of nice, high quality steel, so it holds the heat really, really well. One thing I cannot wait for you guys to see is how well this thing smokes brisket. I love a nice smoked brisket.
How much do you like smoked brisket?
I love smoked brisket.
Like how much?
Like, love it. I love it. I am from Central Texas. I grew up on smoked brisket. Love it.
The man makes best smoked brisket I've ever tasted, so...
And homemade barbecue sauce.
Oh,
You just wait. That fat is nice and burnt.
look at it.
Let me check the temperature on it.
What are we looking for, Zach?
Around 55 would be medium rare. So we have a bit more time to go.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that. That's the fat. That's that fat cap. That's why it's so black, is because this is all fat right here. So we'll go 2 minutes by 2 minutes. All right, I think we're ready. Oh, look at that. Just beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that nice color. The fat has rendered down. A little burnt, but that's okay. We don't mind that on the fat. Looking nice. Let's go ahead and get those potatoes off as well. Grab my hot glove here. Welding gloves, lifesaver. We'll put it on here because you know what? This is warm. It's going to help keep it warm. One of the most important things that you can do is let the steak rest, all right? One of the things that happens is a lot of people tend to take the steaks off and they want to keep it hot, so they go ahead and they slice it right away. That is one of the best ways to ruin a steak. What you want to do is you want to let it rest 5 minutes. One thing that happens, we took this off at 53 degrees. 55 degrees Celsius is medium rare. So this is gonna rise another 5 degrees Celsius, okay, as it rests for 5 minutes. So that's gonna take us up to a nice medium rare to medium, which is exactly what we want for the fillet and for the sirloin or New York strip. So there we are, 5 minutes, let it rest, then we'll slice up. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna slice it off the bone. So this is the fillet side or the fillet side. Oh, it's like butter, baby. We're gonna make this look pretty. This is the reason we're slicing it off the bone, okay? Grains are running up and down. Generally, for most steaks or most beef, you wanna cut across the grain. Why? Makes it more tender. Otherwise, it becomes chewy, all right? The only exception is the picanha steak, which we'll cook at a later time. This is a perfect medium rare.
Yes, please.
To medium. I would say medium.
I'd say Charles even wants some.
He does, but he can't have any. Sit it right there. Because I let it rest, I didn't cut it right away. It takes a minute for the red to show up in the meat. All right, so we're gonna eat with our eyes first. Just looks nice. All right, look at that nice cut of beef. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this chimichurri made, then I'm just gonna sprinkle it over the top. Just making sure it gets nice and involved, as Ben would say. Get involved, son, get involved. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our nice vat of potatoes, put it up here as well. We like wine with our meat. What we're trying to do is we're not trying to be pretentious and grab a very expensive bottle of wine, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to say, hey, look, everyday people can have everyday great food just like this. So we got, here is a nice Campo Viejo Rioja from 2017. The orange label, you could buy it at most supermarkets, runs around 10 quid, all right? 10 pounds, probably 12 US dollars. You know what, it's great to pair with meat. We have our nice T-bone steak with chimichurri. We have our nice black garlic and truffle potatoes with rosemary. This took maybe all of an hour to prep. You could do it at home too. Thank you for watching. Enjoy.